doing?
Get another beer.
Where are you going? Yeah, the beers are over here, fool. Dude, every single time.
He's joking around. Look, the beer's in here.
Hey, every single time he needs to use the restroom. All right, Timmy's in the shitter. We got Timmy as usual.
What? I am Timmy.
Oh, come on, man. CJ's in the shitter. Timmy's right here. He's not in the shitter. We got Abraham. And yeah, so today we're in the... All right, so today we're talking about gusset kits and how to support and strengthen your front frame. So the frame here in the front houses your A-arms, upper and lower, 4 different locations, and we're gonna show you guys how to install a badass gusset kit and bumper and how that translates into making the frame stronger, making it bulletproof so you don't have any issues, and keep these holes from hollowing out, because that's probably one of the main problems that we see on most of these cars. So single shear in the way that the very back of the upper arm and the very rear of the upper arm are only attached from one location. So the bolt goes through this, your arm goes here, and then in the front there's really nothing. There's a little piece of metal that attaches the 2 arms, but that's it, nothing else. So we're gonna show you guys how to make this dual shear. Same thing for the bottom. There's a plate like this one that makes them dual shear, and it's a lot stronger, a lot stiffer. It's one less thing to worry about. The weak links on these cars should be either your ball joints or your arms, never your frame. The frame should be strengthened, that way you never have to replace it or have any issues with the frame itself. It's a lot cheaper and easier to replace an arm, a ball joint, a hub, versus replacing a whole entire chassis. So we're gonna show you guys the Desert Works frame stiffener or gusset kit and their bumper. This one's made by Scott over at Desert Works here in Montclair, California. And by here I mean a couple cities down. And this thing is absolutely badass. We're gonna show you guys in detail what it's all about, how to install it on this car. Is it easy? No, but it's damn worth it. So if you don't get one of these kits and you're not local to the area here in the Inland Empire in California, SoCal, you get another company's gusset kit. A lot of manufacturers make it. Very similar. Try to support your local power sports shop, right? Because it really helps out. A lot of companies like Desert Works make really nice kits, and this is one of them. So let's check it out. This is the front bumper from the guys over at Desert Works. I want to give a shout out to Scott because he hooked us up with this, give us a good deal, and all the parts on this car, including the HCR arms, which are up there, and the cage that he's making. So the gusset kit on this setup here from Desert Works is very similar to a lot of the other manufacturers that make these gusset kits. A lot more cool designs here, a lot more flair with the Desert Works logo. Looks pretty badass. Same thing with the front bumper. This kind of reminds me of like a grenade or something, huh?
It's broke. Get rid of that hand grenade before you lose your hand. Get rid of it! Get rid of it!
Yeah.
It looks pretty damn cool. Again, the Desert Works logo. The bumper is really nice. And we're going to show you guys how it goes on the car. But before we do that, I want to show you the multiple pieces. So this is your main gusset kit. This is the one that's going to bolt to the very front of the chassis. It's going to house both the upper and lower A-arms, the front part of the upper and lower A-arms. And then in here, or excuse me, above the differential on the opposite side of the chassis is going to be this plate. This plate is going to act as your dual shear point for the upper rear control arm. So this piece here is going to bolt onto the chassis, and we'll show you guys that in a little bit further in the video. That's going to bolt to that. Then this is going to bolt to this, and obviously you have 2 points where the upper rear arm is going to attach to, and it's going to make this a lot stronger. The chassis is going to be a lot better supported, and the arm is going to not move, because another thing about this gusset kit that reinforces or makes the suspension tighter is that the bolt holes are a lot better circumference. It's thicker gauge steel, so even if your arms did move from an impact, they're not going to wallow out. They're not that thin stuff that's in the chassis right now. All right, last but not least, at the lower rear portion of the arms is going to be this plate. This plate is going to make the rear of the lower arm double shear. It's going to support the arm a lot better. Thicker gauge steel, like we said, and this is going to make the rear lower arms a lot better reinforced, and one less thing to worry about when it comes to the chassis. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is going to install this front gusset kit, the main section, onto the chassis. What you're going to want to do is remove these bolts here at the bottom. This holds these 2 studs and the plate on the back. Ultimately, we're gonna cut these off, but before we do that, we're gonna mount this plate, drill a couple holes, and we're gonna mount some hardware. But in order for the plate to sit flush, you gotta take these 2 bolts off. All right, so this is the main gusset at the very front of the chassis. We're gonna use the supplied bolts and nuts at the very top here. At the bottom, the same studs are still installed. We're gonna put the nuts on there. We're gonna torque it all down, and we got 6 holes to drill. 1 on each side here, 2 at the bottom and 2 at the top. We'll drill those, use the supplied hardware to bolt this gusset to the actual frame, the chassis, and then we can remove the upper bolts and the lower nuts. Actually, you're gonna remove everything because you're gonna cut off these lower bolts. So we'll do that now. Any new blade for me? What blade?
It all went on the
Damn, yeah. What blade, dude? All right, we're gonna have to use a grinder. Yeah, get this shit out of here. Well, it doesn't actually cut off wheels, freaking grinding pad or whatever. But now we can unbolt this, and we should be able to get this little plate off, get that out of the way, and we'll drill the 2 holes here and the rest of them that we already kind of pre-marked. We'll get back to the main gusset in just a second. We're gonna install the rear gusset, which is gonna be this guy here. This is gonna mount to the very back of the frame through the bolt holes up here. There's already bolt holes there, so it's gonna make it pretty easy to just bolt it up. We'll do that right now. You want to take those 2? We'll mount that. We'll slide these bolts back. These are our factory bolts. We're gonna use the factory hardware for the upper, excuse me, yeah, the upper rear and the lower rear. So that's gonna go like that. And then we'll go ahead and torque that down. It's probably best to wait until you're ready with your arms, but as long as the holes for the lower are in place and in line, you can go ahead and tighten the top. We're gonna wait until we have the other pieces because there's one piece here that's very important. And what do they call that? The impact plate?
something like that.
Impact bracket, something like that. And also you gotta be mindful of your, you know, your smart lock wiring harness that's right here. All right, so we have the breather for the diff out of the way, the holes. The smart lock, we have it routed through the rear bracket. I'm not sure if that's gonna work yet, but we have it kind of moved so we could sneak this in, just like that. And I think it is gonna work right there. Okay, so then, so on this middle bracket here, I think they call it like this impact bracket. It's supposed to, you know, share the impact. So if you impact it here in the front from the front bumper, it gets transferred to not just only this, but to the rear. So it's all one tight, you know, section. Versus if it wasn't there, all the load would kind of be in the front from a front impact. So it's better to have it, you know, everything kind of squared up. It's a lot stronger. All right, with this in place, you could go ahead and run the bolts here. Just don't tighten them up until you're ready here in the front. In the front, you're gonna mount the nuts and bolts in the center. And then you're also gonna put the longer bolts for the arms in place as well, just to line everything up and make sure it's centered. All right, so this front gusset is nice and tight. We have the upper bolts here and the side bolts all torqued down. The bottom ones, we don't have any more hardware. We're gonna have to get some. And for the meanwhile, we're gonna torque down the plate at the very rear that attaches to the chassis. We'll torque that down, and as well as torque down the bolts that attach these 2 plates together. Once those are tight, we can move on to kind of attaching the bumper for the meanwhile to show you guys what that looks like, because I think it looks pretty damn cool. And then we'll end this video, and we're going to do a separate video on the HCR arms and the LMUTV tie rods, and putting the bumper together and putting this whole complete front end together, because that's going to look awesome. I just want to show you guys this front gusset kit because it's legit. It's the bomb, and it's pretty much bomb proof, I would say, because the way this is all set up and the way the brackets attach to each other, especially up here on the top, it's really nice. I talk about a lot of manufacturers, one mainly that I always bring up, and they make a nice gusset kit, but they don't have this bracket, and I'm thinking this bracket is a really good idea. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. But we're gonna go ahead and tighten this down. We'll attach the bumper just so you guys can see what it's gonna look like from a distance, and then we'll see you guys in the next video. So let's do it. All right guys, and there is the gusset kit. We want to give you guys a good look of how this gusset kit looks, because it's freaking amazing. The way it's all bolted together really makes, you know, it inspires confidence when you're out there doing it, or when you're out there in Johnson Valley, or wherever you're at in the East Coast trail riding. If you're afraid you're gonna hit something like a tree, whatever you may be doing, the welds on this gusset kit and the bumper are absolutely insane. Just beautiful piece of art, powder coated to match the car, which is bronze and blue. And definitely a must-have if you're worried about, you know, the chassis, you know, getting damaged from a front-end collision, or from, you know, heavy whoops and dune riding and all that good stuff. Just remember, you know, the chassis is not the strongest point, and if you can support it with these gussets, it really does make a difference. Whether or not you go with Desert Works or another company, whatever, most of them are pretty damn good. This is probably one of the best for sure. And if you're local to the Inland Empire or Southern California, check out Desert Works in Montclair, California. They make some badass stuff, and as you can see, this is gonna be pretty damn amazing. Now obviously we forgot this bracket. We didn't forget it. You have to install this when you install the lower arms, and we'll show you guys that in the next video. Thanks for watching guys. See you guys next time. Peace out and stay dirty. All right, if you stuck around for the end of the video, we made a quick observation and we made a mistake. There's actually 2 longer bolts and 2 shorter bolts, and the reason we thought the bolts came from that side this way is because we had a longer bolt down here and it was hitting, going that way, it was hitting on one of the brackets near the diff. So actually we're wrong. You use the shorter bolts at the bottom and all the bolts go in this way. So small mistake, but want to make sure we let you guys know. So bolts go in from the bumper towards the chassis, and then you put the nuts on the back side. So longer bolts up top, lower shorter bolts at the bottom, and obviously we'll put those in when we put the arms on. And yeah,
You're an ass.